Alrighty, man. Yeah, I was pretty busy this weekend with other stuff, so I didn't actually manage to do a recap before the new week started. So we're recapping this essentially. Um, with that in mind, I'm just gonna hit the replay button and cut off all of this. It's Monday morning right now, so we only traded a little bit, but yeah. So let's head into the recap. What were we looking for last week? Essentially just a continuation lower, right? Starting with dollar, we were looking for lower prices and we got those initially, right? Had a nice little move lower, and then towards the end of the week, as you can see based on the body, we kind of flipped that move, and yeah, this is exactly how that went. Essentially going into the week, I was looking for potentially this daily gap or this daily gap to be hit, and then we run this low down here. Now that didn't happen. Instead, Monday sold off, Tuesday sold off, and then we had hit the low, and then we went, instead of going internal from here to external to the low, we took the external first, and then we got an external to internal move right there. And yeah, if we look at the weekly chart, we left a small little weekly gap here. That is something to note as well. So we do have a little weekly gap sitting here on dollar, and yeah, that's kind of how the daily chart went, right? Bearish Monday, Tuesday, and then bullish, bullish, bullish. This is actually Monday's candle, which for some reason is now back, so let me replay that away too. And then I think here it makes sense to just kind of move this drawing here, because yeah, we did inverse this daily gap, and again, like I said, we do have a weekly gap as well. Now what did this mean? Nope, wrong arrow. Gotta go down. For indices, no, Jesus, for majors, yeah, I mean the same thing it did for dollar, right? Monday bullish, Tuesday bullish into the high here, right? That corresponds with high on dollar here on Euro USD, and then we rejected that and got the retrace down into the daily gap. An initial reaction from that daily gap, which was then stuffed with a kind of continuation lower, right? And then we took Wednesday's low here on Friday, and right now we have Monday's candle again, which I'm trying to kind of remove. But yeah, to end the week, right, because I'm recapping last week and Monday is not part of last week, but for some reason it doesn't. Yeah, Monday just keeps popping up. That's a bit annoying. Alright, fuck it. I'm just gonna leave it there. Let's go out of replay mode and just say we're gonna ignore that last candle. And yeah, and then we can see on Friday, we wick down into into Wednesday's low, and then get a close slightly above, and then on Euro as well, right? If we jump up to the weekly chart, we can see here on last week's candle, essentially a similar pattern to what dollar had, where we had that long wick to the upside, and then the body closing back to where we came from, and we have a weekly gap here on Euro as well. Bada bing, bada boom. Mark that out and move on to pound. And on pound, we don't have quite the weekly gap like we do on dollar. We already had a weekly gap going into the week, which I was potentially looking for. We did not reach down into that. And then if we jump back out to the weekly chart last week, we did hit this weekly high that I had pointed out beforehand. That could be like a potential just strong liquidity for the week on pound. Yeah, we hit that. And then looking at the daily chart, right, we have a few more like daily swing highs that were, in my opinion, a little bit more obvious liquidity points than just like the high of a weekly wick. But these did not get reached because honestly, compared to like dollar and euro, having like more energetic, right, like up down type things going on, pound was just kind of consolidating with pretty big wicks to either side here. But yeah, honestly, just like not much going on in pound, right? And then this is obviously today, so even discount this last candle, and it looks even more choppy. So yeah, I mean, pound really didn't do much. Let's move on to majors. ES actually ran into this like tiny weekly gap here last week, right? Like there is a tiny little gap. I think it's like literally a tick big or something like that. Let's see. So 685925 to 685875. 685875. Okay, so it's 2 ticks. So there's a little weekly gap here. We wick down lower, right? Also into this order block. And we rejected from there, right? Huge wick to the downside. Same kind of thing going on the NQ. And then if we look to the daily chart, this all kind of shuffled out of place because of the contract adjustment, I'm pretty sure. Now, which one? I think I have to press it, right? Yeah, for the adjustment to happen. Yeah, I'm just gonna remark this out, right? This was the high I have marked out on NQ already for a while, or like this daily gap, I guess, where we've put a lot of lows, highs right below that. And yeah, I mean, this was kind of what NQ was doing last week. So first coming into the week, right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we sell off, and then Thursday, Friday, we get a rally higher. And then, yeah, this is obviously Monday again. So ignoring that, that's what we got here, right? Say about ES, right? Kind of drawing outside the lines on this daily gap as well. Not like the cleanest price action, right? Especially with that. And then if we look at the 4-hour chart real quick on ES, just because we do have that alignment from the weekly gap, we can see that also that doesn't really bring much in terms of trading potential, just because this order block is massive and it only allows for a 1-to-1 into the highs, and I have no interest in even looking for a 1-to-1 into the external, so I'm ignoring this whole situation here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, indices, yeah, like not crazy amounts of shit happened. If we do drop into silver was a bit unlucky this week. Obviously we were bullish going into the week, and as you know, you may see, or we may see here, silver was bullish as shit. Definitely. Also bullish as shit already this morning, but yeah. Coming into the week, right, we had dropped down into this daily gap on Friday. Monday, boom, displacement out of it. Tuesday, we kind of get a big retracement, right, of what we did on Monday. End up coming all the way back up. On Wednesday, we continue to move higher. Thursday, we consolidate. And then Friday, we get another continuation, tapping into this daily gap we created midweek. Wrong way. Match that on gold. Not much, right? Gold kind of just came into the week, consolidated, did not retrace to the daily gap, and then ran the highs today. But yeah, last week it just really just consolidated. Unfortunate, right? Because I felt like we had a pretty clear draw on gold, and we had a daily gap below. But yeah, and then let's move into silver, and this is kind of the reason why I say unlucky. Because here on this initial daily gap, right, coming into the week, I was saying in my outlook, I want to look for a trade from here, and there was just like no opportunity, right? Like there's no tradable order block, high probability order block in that we chop higher on Monday, then we get a little retracement on Tuesday, right? And then we chop higher, and then midweek we get a nice expansion, which then ends up creating also that daily gap here eventually, and then we have consolidation, right? This is like a really clean market maker model, right? Sell side curve, slowly chipping our way down, and then we hit the daily gap here, and we have SMT with Gold, daily consecutive candle SNT. We have this big displacement in Asia, right? 1 a.m. So this is where London kill zone starts. So this is where, okay, replay mode is, there we go. This is kind of where London starts, and right, perfect little unicorn lineup with the order block. I set my limit there, obviously, right? And then as one can see, we do not get blessed with a retrace down there, and instead yeah, we're subjected to watch the move play out without us. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes, right? So yeah, weekly wise, right, another weekly gap created on silver. I think safe to say you know, potentially we could see more weekly gaps in the future. Gold does not have another weekly gap. So, I mean, yeah, that was the week. For some reason, bro, I'm tired as shit right now. I'm like yawning like crazy. I don't even know why. Because, like, I slept pretty fucking well, and it's already like 10:30, so I should be chilling, but yeah, guess not. I guess not. But hey, anyway, that's the recap. I'm about to throw out the outlook. Obviously, a little late, but yeah, we'll see.